Hello everyone. Today I am in Perkasie, Pennsylvania on part of the remains of the Liberty Bell trolley line. The Liberty Bell trolley line was actually part of the Lehigh Valley Transit Company. The transit company, which became the Lehigh Valley Transit Company as we knew it, was formed in 1905. Its roots go back a little farther, back to like the late 1800s, but it's kind of complicated as to what merged with what and name changes, and as it is with anything with rails, there always seems to be mergers, name changes, etc., etc. But anyway, the Lehigh Valley Transit Company, as we basically know it today, was formed in 1905. This tunnel here and the Liberty Line was opened in 1912. I'm not sure why this says January of 1900 right here. If you look up here, it says January 1900 to September of 1951. 1951 is accurate because the trolley line ceased to operate, or ceased to exist, I should say, in 1951. Much like the demise of a lot of rail lines and commuter lines, or passenger trains, with the accessibility and modernization of cars, you didn't need a train to go 2 towns over or to go, 10 miles, 12 miles. So public transportation in rural areas basically ceased to exist for the most part. Today you have intercity travel and train lines and trolley lines that go in the city and to the city, but like I said, down where I live, there's train stations that are a mile apart from each other. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Perk branch had 38 miles of track and 28 stations. So, there was a time when your only option was either you walk or you take a horse, or you find some type of transportation later on, like trolleys or trains. So, like I was saying, this is the Liberty Bell line. It goes right in front of me. I'm facing the town of Perkasie that way. If you walk down this way, this is part of the old right-of-way of the line. Like I said, the tunnel up there says 1900. I'm not really sure. Some reports say the Lehigh Valley Transit line became what it was in 1901, 1905. Most of my references go to 1905 as to where when the Lehigh Valley Transit Company started. And just about everywhere I've researched over the years, just generally knowing a little bit I know about the Liberty Bell line, is it started in 1912 and went to 1951. Like I said, for obvious reasons, trolleys just weren't needed to go a couple towns over. So I'm going to walk down this way. This is part of the right-of-way for the trolley, for the Liberty Bell line, going up this way. Not really sure why this part here is like a trail. It doesn't go anywhere. It's kind of cool though. So right ahead of me, we're going to walk up to the end. You're going to see there used to be a bridge. That's Perkasie right up here. Well, we're in Perkasie, obviously. I'm stating the obvious. So this line here, if you would have kept going here, and you go across, you can see the abutment for the bridge. The trolley used to go right across here. I'm thinking this is 8th Street or 9th Street. I forget the road name, but the road's down there. You can see the abutment on the other side of the road. This here goes all the way up along Old Bethlehem Pike, goes into Quakertown, and then follows the line from Quakertown and went all the way downtown. So this way in front of us we're facing, it would have went across here, across the trestle, bridge, whatever. I get corrected all the time. And would have went towards Quakertown, then Coopersburg, then Allentown. A couple little towns in between, obviously. So yeah, so this was taken out. I guess they don't want us walking on this section. So now you go this way, you can see we're back here where the right-of-way goes up towards the tunnel. Again, I'm sure someone can correct me and will correct me in the comments about why this tunnel says 1900 when the Liberty Bell line was put in 1912. I'm sure someone can correct me and will correct me. Everyone's an expert on YouTube, which is fine. Like I always say, I don't claim to be an expert on everything. I don't know it all. I know enough to be dangerous. That's a good thing. So yeah, so if you go through this way takes you to go through the tunnel into right down the center of town in Perkasie. Then you would hit Sellersville, Telford. Don't get my towns mixed up here. Perkasie, Sellersville, Telford, Souderton, Hatfield. Did I get them mixed up? Then out towards Lansdale. So, not sure if you can notice it, but one of the interesting things about this is this tunnel actually goes right underneath railroad tracks. That is a railroad above the Perkasie Tunnel, which is pretty cool. That up there was actually, it's still currently used today. It's still in use, still used for freight. In 1855, it was originally opened up as the North Penn Railroad. And then 1879, the Philadelphia and Reading, which you know later became the Reading, leased it, absorbed it. Somehow, I'm not sure how it exactly worked, but basically the Philadelphia and Reading, which later became the Reading, took control of the line in 1879, and it became the Bethlehem branch of the Reading. Then after the Reading stopped running freight and passenger on it, Conrail and SEPTA took over. Conrail took care of the freight load from Lansdale basically to Allentown, and SEPTA ran passenger trains. As far as what I was researched and what I was told is SEPTA stopped running their trains in here in 1981. So SEPTA service down this line ended in 1981. And then of course, you know, Conrail phased this line out, and it went through a couple other hands, and to this day the line from Lansdale, this line here, the Bethlehem branch, from Lansdale down to Telford is run by Pennsylvania Northeastern Railroad, and then they interchange right in Telford with East Penn, and East Penn runs the rest of the line down through Quakertown. So like I said, it's still currently used for freight. It'd be nice to catch a train coming over. I'm not sure what times they come through here anymore. And I think SEPTA, even though SEPTA doesn't run, this line goes right into Lansdale, right at the Lansdale train station. I think SEPTA still owns this line, even though they haven't run anything on it since 1981. But I think SEPTA still does own it. If you go down, just right down this way a little ways, is the Perkasie train station and their freight station and their nicely restored boxcar and all that stuff. If you go on my videos, I did a little video on that section down there. A little bit about the Bethlehem branch, the Reading's Bethlehem branch. My lips are frozen. Which runs right above here. So, check this out. It's pretty cool. It's a neat looking tunnel. If you look, there's a remnant of the railroad laying there. If you look through the trees, that was a signal post, or a sign of some sort. May have said no trespassing, bridge limits. There's a cement fixture with a pole sticking through it. So it was something at one time. So again, some years ago, it seems like just yesterday, but I'm sure it was a lot longer ago than I realized, somebody in the town of Perkasie, they decided to paint this and a little tribute to what once came through here, which is cool. I think it's neat when they do stuff like that. They got the bridge, the little walking bridge, which is in the Menlo Park or Lenape Park, whatever. I think it's Lenape, right down the street. They got the famous Perkasie Carousel. I might do a video on that sometime. That could be something interesting. The carousel. They got the covered bridge, which got hit in that last flooding we had. It got messed up, but I guess they're working on it. And of course, you got to have the trolley, which came right through here. Nice looking artwork. And then you have the Perkasie trolley station. If I had more ambition and felt like walking down, that station is still right down the street. The trolley came out here and went to some street running, and the station is right down the road. Still looks pretty much the same. The Perkasie Historical Society calls it home, and if you ever get a chance to go in there when they're open, it's really nice. It's nice looking in there. And they got some historical stuff about the trolley and the railroad and just Perkasie in general, which is pretty neat. So yeah, so it's nice, nice construction. Got the Liberty Bell route. You gotta love when towns acknowledge their past and their history, especially transportation history. I mean, who doesn't love that? On this side, like I said, there's some stuff. I said this before in my other video. Perkasie is a really nice historic little town. It is really cool. Very clean, very nice. There's a lot of neat history. It's just a good chance to visit. There's a lot of neat stuff. Like I said, all these things that are painted on the wall here are all little historical features that are still in the town. Now on this side of the bridge, or tunnel, sorry, this side of the tunnel, I guess that's the route that shows it coming through. That's part of the route of the Liberty Line. So on this side, you have the stations. Started in Allentown, Summit Lawn, which I know where that's at. That's outside of, that's kind of outside of, well, yeah, there's Center Valley. Just before Center Valley area. And then you got Center Valley. I don't know about those stations, or if any of those stations still exist. I'm not sure. And then went to Coopersburg. There's a station. Now, Zion Hill, I'm not sure, never heard of that station. Quakertown Station, that still exists. Quakertown Station is right across from the Red Lion Hotel. Right there, there's a little place like right next to it, or two houses down, there's a replica of the Liberty Bell. Apparently the Liberty Bell on its way to Philly was kept just outside of Quakertown for the night, and the crew, or that was guarding it, slept in that house. So if you ever been through Quakertown, head towards like Signs 5 and Dime down that way, across from the Red Lion Inn, you'll see the old little house, and then next to that, or a couple houses down, you'll see what's the Quakertown Station. I think now, current day, I think the Quakertown Station, trolley station, I think is a salon or a hair salon, or it was a hair salon. There was a tattoo parlor in the late 90s. I got my first tattoo in there. Then you got Rich Hill. Now, you got Rich Hill and Rocky Ridge. Never heard of either of them. I have no idea what those are. But just up on Old Bethlehem Pike, or next to 309 Old Bethlehem Pike, just outside of Quakertown, there was a house. My friend of mine lived in it, and it burnt down, or burnt, and they had to tear it down. He said that was a trolley station. So could that have been Rich Hill or Rocky Ridge? I don't know. The trolleys, I'm interested in them, especially local trolleys I find very interesting, but it's not one of my expertise. Then you got Perkasie, or if you listen to my old GPS, it said Perkasie, which we're here. Like I said, that station still exists. It's right down the road. The fine folks of the Perkasie Historical Society own it. Sellersville station still exists. Sellersville station is right across the street from the Sellersville Firehouse. Interesting fact, on the property of where the Sellersville Firehouse is, or in that area right behind it, was once a car barn and repair facility for the line. I'm going to go down and do some exploring in a video about that someday. So Sellersville is right across from the firehouse. Telford, which I just found out today from a Facebook acquaintance of mine. Telford is right on Main Street, right down from Reliance Road. And it's a house now. Looks kind of interesting. Doesn't quite look like a station, but you can tell it's not a normal house. Souderton is down. There's a little station. It's right down near the Souderton train station along the railroad. So that's where Souderton, and that still exists. Hatfield is wow, I'm drawing a blank here. It's a restaurant right next to the Liberty Bell Trolley trail. It's now the Trolley something restaurant in Hatfield. Still there, and from what I hear, they got really good food. Lansdale Station. Lansdale, I don't know what's left of it. I should have talked to my source about this a little better. It's that big concave, like 4-story building right across from the Lansdale train station. I don't know how much of the original station, when it was rebuilt, was they built onto it or around it, or it was torn down. I'm not sure about that. Not totally sure, but it was or is on the location of that big building across the Lansdale train station. Wales Junction, I don't know. I could just assume that's North Wales. Would make sense. It's past Lansdale, right? West Point, I doubt it's. I don't know anything about that. Center Square, I don't know. This is probably getting closer to the city. Washington Square, Germantown Pike, Norristown. I don't know if any of these still exist or where they were. And then you got Bryn Mawr, again, pretty much from Lansdale to here. I don't know about these stations, if they exist. If they do exist, or anybody knows anything, please add to the comments. 69th Street in Philly. It interchanged what you got to Philly at the 69th Street station in Philadelphia. So, the line, like I said, came out here, went down the road, did a little street running. Like I always like to do with my stuff, I like to add photographs wherever I can. So if you look, it's just about where we're at here. You can look, as I always do in other videos, then and now. You can see the trolley coming through. This was back in the day. People up top on the railroad tracks, trespassing as usual. Good to see some things never change. Right here, which would have been right in this area, doubt there's anything left of it. Looked like a signal box, relay box or signal box. Probably some electronics in it. Or was that a cement? Was that a cement structure? I don't know. That might be a cement structure. I'm not sure. Hard to tell. So anyway, so there's one of the Liberty Bell trolleys. Like I said, the Liberty Bell trolley line was part of the Lehigh Valley Transit Company. And that's what it looked like. That's what it looks like today. Lucky for us to find people in Perkasie who decided to keep up with it and make it accessible. So, but yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool up here. And the old Bethlehem branch of the Reading is still up there. So something I guess that's the mile marker. What's this, 34 out of 86 miles? That would make sense. That's pretty cool. I've never seen that. So, one thing I noticed while I was up here the other day, I don't come up here too often. Again, I'm not the world's biggest trolley guy, although I do like it. I find trolleys very interesting. What's really cool right here must have been something coming past. There's an old family cemetery here, which is right here in Perkasie, right next to the. Imagine that, you're right in the triangle area of a trolley and a railroad. Definitely old headstones. Has nothing to do with the trolley, but it's interesting. I like the old family plots. A lot of people forget about them. You often wonder when you're gone how many generations and how many generations down the line so you're forgotten about. Stout Family Cemetery. So speaking of cemeteries, here's a little interesting story before I leave you guys for the day. A little interesting story. So there's also in Souderton, yeah, in Boy, I mean, all these areas mixed up here. Man, I think the cold's getting to me. There's also a Perkasie train tunnel, which is kind of a little off the beaten path. You can't really see it from the road, and it's, you know, trespassing for the most part. So I've never been there. So some years ago, before I really put two and two together, I heard stories about the haunted tunnel in Perkasie. Haunted tunnel. Okay, well, they said train tunnel. I'm like, well, this is under a train tracks. It's a trolley, close enough. It's probably what it is. And as I mentioned in my other video, I used to do a lot of, well, I'm still into it, but I haven't done much lately. A lot of paranormal, my paranormal group, and still a lot of ghost hunting and all that kind of stuff. So a group I knew wanted to go do investigation. So I told them where it was. So they come down here to this tunnel. Well, this ain't the train tunnel. This is the trolley tunnel, and it's not haunted, apparently. So they'd spend a couple hours here doing all their tests and videos and pictures and all that good stuff that you do when you investigate. And they told me they didn't find nothing, and then I found out that I sent them to the wrong tunnel. I was like, yeah, that's actually the train tunnel in Perkasie. Sorry, my fault. Oh, yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for checking it out, and I'll see you next time. Any questions or any corrections, questions, all that stuff, just leave in the comments. Thank you.